An uneasy calm in the East End of Leicester today. The only hint of the troubles that have tormented this city, the site of an international broadcaster.
He's inciting violence and you're allowing it.
Attracting the kind of record ratings that they'd rather not view, the clashes between groups of Hindu and Muslim men. But in these pictures and in the aftermath, what hasn't been broadcast is the voices of women.
I think if women had been involved, I think these issues would have been resolved and dealt with differently. I think it makes me feel sad. I just feel as if, there's a heck of a lot of testosterone, egos get in the way.
Rita Patel has been an activist here for decades. She says the role of women in calming community relations after the violence has been overlooked.
Why do you think women were excluded from all the public statements that have been made about the disorder?
Often when people look for spokespeople, community leaders, women aren't the obvious ones that figure, because although we're taking care of things, we're responsible, we're proactive in what we do, it's not always that we're represented across communities.
And yet it's often been the women of this city from both communities who've been left to deal with the fallout of the fighting. We've spoken to one mother whose identity we're protecting.
And it was almost as though it was planned. And out of nowhere, random guys had just come out and they went straight up to him and said, "Are you a Muslim?"
Her son was attacked back in May, long before the cricket match that's been blamed for starting the violence. The family believe the attackers were Hindu. In her only television interview, she told me what happened.
It was his head. He had the amount, I couldn't even count the amount of bumps and cuts he had to his head. And I just looked back and I was just in tears. Absolute awful.
When you saw him lying there in that hospital bed, what did you think?
The initial thing, who could do this to my son? It was heartbreaking to see your son bleed out like that.
Her son survived the attack. In the months that followed, there were calls amongst some young men in the community for retaliation. But there had also been Hindus who were injured, and the family pleaded for peace.
We've got nothing against the Hindus, or, it's not a Hindu-Muslim thing. It's a handful of these people who have caused that chaos, who've hurt my son. And people need to know that Leicester itself, the community are tight. We have lived in different communities, different faiths together for so many years, and we've never had anything like this before. And so it needs to stop.
When the streets were overtaken by the chaos of the weekend, a number of women who weren't caught on camera went into the fray to help one another get home.
Lots of constituents ringing us saying, "Oh, my son is caught up in this. How am I going to get him out of here? I'm scared of him getting hurt."
Shaman Rahman is a counsellor in the city's East End.
Women are here and they are very loud and they won't be silenced, and they are very, very active on the ground.
And their work on the ground in the weeks and months ahead will be crucial in helping to heal this city, even if it won't always be acknowledged.